Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous Hour. My name's Dave, forever an alcoholic. Can we start off, Billy, again by saying a big thanks to yourself and everybody here at the radio for
It's always a pleasure.
inviting us along for another year. We're shortly going to be introducing one of our members who are going to share their story with us. But before I do that, I'd like to ask Dec to read the preamble, which is something we read out at the start of every meeting, which basically tells you very simply what AA is, what it does and what it doesn't do. So over to you, Dec.
Cheers, Dave. I'm Dec and I'm an alcoholic, and this is the AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve the common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied to any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety.
Thanks, Dec. That's great. And could we now get our guests today to introduce themselves, please?
Hello, my name's Leanne and I'm an alcoholic.
Welcome, Leanne, and thanks ever so much for coming along here to share your experience, strength and hope with us. Can I get you to start off by telling us some idea, giving us some idea about your background, your childhood, etc., where you grew up?
Yeah. So I'm an only child and I grew up in Raleigh Regis in the Black Country.
Yes! One of us!
Yeah, good old Raleigh Regis, yeah. Black Country, born and bred.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you're only child? No siblings?
No siblings. My mum and dad waited 9 years to have kids. They couldn't have kids, and then my mum found out she was pregnant with me.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I was a surprise,
That was a
happy
blessing.
surprise,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
So yeah, I was. I'm an only child.
So, what about childhood then, school and early days?
Yeah, I had a good childhood. There's nothing really bad that happened in my childhood. I was from a loving family and very shy child.
No,
And,
I don't believe that for a minute.
Very shy. And my mum and dad were quite isolated, really. My dad has one sister, and my mum was from a big family. But they were very self-concealed. We were a very self-contained little family.
Private.
Private,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah, private family. It was always just me, my mum and dad, and my dad's mum, my nan, and my granddad for a short time. But he passed away when I was quite young.
Right.
So I don't remember really having much to do with cousins, aunties and uncles, really. Any of my parents' friends coming round. We were always quite an insular, private family.
Yeah.
And that was fine, that was fine.
Sure.
I remember being really quite lonely as a child. And, any friends that I did have at school from a young age, I'd try and take them hostage when they came round to my house. And whenever it was time for them to go home, I used to get really, really upset. And, of course, they wouldn't want to come again. But it was a nice childhood. My mum worked in a supermarket from the time I was born. She worked evenings, and my dad worked in a factory. So when I came back from school, my mum would then go to work, and my dad and his mum would be the caretakers for me on weekdays.
And were they drinkers, mum and dad? And no?
My mum didn't drink. She had a medical problem.
Right.
But, I spoke to her as I got older, and she had never tried alcohol, never.
At all. Wow.
And her opinion, my dad drank. He used to drink when my mum got back from work at 9 o'clock. He would then start to drink, and he'd put the car away, and he'd start drinking. I never knew him to be drunk, but what I did know that my mum used to say to me, "Don't speak to your dad about that yet. He's had a drink. Let me speak to him tomorrow." So I never saw him drunk, but I did have an understanding that my dad changed when he had a drink, and that was from things that my mum told me.
Yeah.
My nan used to have drinks at Christmas, and, you know, if she was ill, she'd put some whiskey in her tea and things like that. But I never saw my nan drink, not very often.
You weren't surrounded by that?
I wasn't surrounded by it at all, no, not at all.
So tell us about when you had your first drink then, how that happened.
I used to have the odd glass of wine at Christmas time from, I can't remember what age, but it was quite young. Just with Christmas dinner, I'd have a little bit of fizzy stuff. And I never realised, it didn't really do anything for me. I can't remember it doing anything for me, but I do remember it being quite a special thing, because it would be, oh, Leanne can have a little bit of that now it's Christmas. So, but then also I had the idea that alcohol was bad, because my mum always used to say, you know, she never drank and my dad wouldn't change. But so I had the odd drink at Christmas time. The first drink I can remember having to change the way I felt was before I went to my end of senior school party. And I felt so scared about going there, because I was a really awkward teenager. I didn't have a lot of friends in the last year of school. I didn't fit in. I didn't want to do what other people my age wanted to do, because I was scared. They wanted to go out on a Friday and have a drink and drink in the park or chat to boys, and I didn't feel good enough to do that. I felt awkward. I felt too skinny. I felt too ugly. So I used to hide myself away in my bedroom, writing letters to pen friends, listening to music and absorbing myself in music. So when this party came, I knew I had to go. I kind of wanted to go, but I didn't. And I remember thinking, oh, I could go in the pantry and have a little cap full of my dad's whiskey. I knew that much, that it might change the way I felt. And I did that, and I had such a small amount. It didn't do anything at all. But the first time I drank and it changed me was when I'd started college. Went out to a nightclub. I'd again changed my... I tried to change myself at college. I purposely chose a different college so that no one would know me, and I could reinvent myself from the shy, scared, skinny, boring, that was the word I was often called at school, boring girl. So I did that. I went to a college where nobody knew me, and I went to a nightclub, and I didn't have a clue what to drink. I would have just had a Coke, but I saw my friends having Malibu and Coke, and I thought, oh, I'll have one of those. And that was my first drink, and all I can say is I'd gone into that club feeling scared, ugly, boring, and scared to talk to boys, and I came out of that club having pinched a boy's bum and got his number. So, you know, from that moment on, really, it was my golden elixir, so to speak.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I knew that had to go again with going out.
Yeah.
I wanted a drink next time.
So that was the reinvention.
That was honestly, that was my reinvention.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I've been looking for a woman like you all my life. So,
So that was you then, pinch my bum. And all
Oh
years ago.
dear! Now you know.
Dear me. So, how did that progress then? So that was your first sort of experience of it changed the way that you felt, and I guess the way you behaved quite innocently. But how did that progress over the years?
So, you know, from that, it wasn't a conscious thing in the early days. I was 16 when I had my first drink. It wasn't conscious, as in, I need to drink when I go out, but drink was around from that age. And from you know, a couple of weeks or a month after that nightclub incident, I was the one that would be sick. I was the one that would end up asleep in the toilets, and people would be trying to open the door, and I'd be passed out. And I was always the one that couldn't control it. I wasn't trying to. I was having too much fun, actually, and I thought everyone drank like that. I thought that was the rite of passage at that age to do that. But from that moment on, it was always for the effect, and always to change the way that I felt. I could be that person that I thought I wanted and should be. I could be that confident person. I could change from daytime Leanne, which was shy, awkward, feeling not good enough. I knew that when I went out, I didn't need to do that anymore. I could drink and I could be the life and soul.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't care whether people liked me or whether I was shy or not. I didn't care.
No.
And it did progress. Looking back, I can see that now. I didn't have any aspirations as a young person, really. I wanted to do what I thought my parents wanted me to do. And they didn't have great aspirations for me. You know, I'm from a working class family, supermarket work. Mother worked in a supermarket, dad worked in a factory, and just the fact I was going to college, I think they were so proud of me.
Sure.
But I didn't know what I wanted to do. So, you know, I feel quite embarrassed saying this, but, you know, then again, I'm not, because it's me. My aspiration was to be with someone in a band. That was my aspiration, because I thought, if I can be with someone who's going to give me that validation, my friends from school would look at me and think, wow, isn't she doing well?
Yeah.
It was never to have any goals of my own doing, ever. That didn't enter my head. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because that feeling of not being good enough was so ingrained in me. And so I just wanted to get my self-esteem from other people. It was always from other people or things. So I met somebody in a band, as I had planned to, when I was 19. He was in quite a successful band in Birmingham, and I thought I'd made it. I thought, this is it. You know, this is me now. I'll be you know, a rock star's girlfriend, and that's me. You know, I can get my validation from that. And of course, even the first day, I didn't feel good enough. I thought, why is he interested in me? And you know, having to drink on the bus to change the way I felt. And that really did progress. You know, with bands comes a lot of drinking, a lot of hanging around in studios, other substances as well, which is also part of my story.
Right.
And I was never told that I was drinking too much, because I was around people that were also doing the same. So it did go on for a very long time, actually. It went on for a really long time, from the age of 19 till I got pregnant with my first child at 27. And, you know, it was fun at first. It was fun, then fun with consequences. And then just consequences. And,
it's funny that.
Oh dear, yeah. And
it's fun until it isn't.
Fun until it isn't.
Yeah.
And then it was never me, and it was never my drinking.
No, of course
it was
not.
always him, or it was, you know, the people that hung around the band, or it was, you know, the venue, or it's stressful at work. You know, I also started my career around the time that my drinking got bad. The time I noticed that my drinking was getting out of hand, I started my career, and then that was the excuse. You know, I'm working hard. It's stressful. I need to release that. I need to drink. When I was about 26, the consequences were getting more dangerous. I was seeking sordid places and sordid people, and that wasn't hard for me to do. You know, I'd go to one of my boyfriend's gigs, and then the party would start after that, back at the studio, lock-ins, somebody's house. And the kind of people that drink, you know, after midnight are, you know, people that work in clubs, doormen, lap dancers, things like that, people like that. And I hung around with those kind of people, and I could very easily hide the amount I was drinking, and I didn't try to hide it. Actually, I just did what I wanted.
That's what everybody
there was
did.
no rules.
No.
The only things that happened was I was starting to miss work, and hating myself, that self-loathing, and that complete bewilderment as to why I'd always get really ill. And why I'd swear off, think, well, that was a really, really heavy weekend. I won't have a drink this week. And I'd last till Wednesday, and then I'd have a thought in my head, well, it wasn't that bad, was it really? I ended up, you know, here, or I'd fallen over and hurt my eye, or, you know, it never. I always justified it,
Yeah,
and I'd
yeah.
always drink again.
Yeah.
The puzzling thing was why I could stop when it got bad enough, but I couldn't stay stopped.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
And
that's the key, I think, isn't it?
that's when I tried all different manner of things to stop drinking, and none of them worked.
So was that purely on willpower, was it, or did you go to some of the other agencies like?
I didn't go to any of the other agencies, but I tried some crazy things, so to speak. Willpower didn't work for me.
No.
It didn't
No.
work for me. I went to hypnotherapy. I went to the doctors to seek counselling, but really what I wanted was a magic pill.
Yeah.
And they offered me some antidepressants, and I gladly took those because I thought they'd change the way I felt.
Mm.
And of course, I drank with them, so they didn't work.
Mm.
And I bought lots of self-help books. And I think the weirdest thing I did was I read something from a politician in the newspaper, and he'd bought some tablets, and I bought some of those, and you couldn't get them in the UK, so I sourced them from China, and they came, and they worked for a week or so, and then I started drinking with them, and
Oh, dear.
almost died,
Oh dear.
mixing the two
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So none of those things worked.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
So are we ready for your first record? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a first record you want to play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to play Blur, Coffee and TV, please.
And we normally have an explanation, so
Yeah.
why is this?
Okay, so they're my favourite band.
Yeah.
Through highs and lows, they've always been there. You know, I've always listened to them. Not so much later, but throughout the teenage and early 20s. But I love this song because the singer is in recovery, and I love, you know, the way it talks about take me away from this big bad world and agree to marry me. That kind of sums up for me looking for external things to fix me, and never looking inside, never thinking the solution lay with me. So I love
And
this song.
2023, they're getting back together. Supposedly.
I'm
allegedly.
going to Wembley Arena.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, Wembley Stadium.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Let's kick off then with Blur, Coffee and TV.
The best in news, views and debate. The best in local music and sport. Black Country Radio. It's all about you.
Thanks for that, Billy, and nice track there, Leanne. Thank you. So just before we played your record, you was telling us about all the stuff that you'd tried, the self-help books, the hypnosis and all that sort of stuff, and some rather dubious pills from China.
Definitely.
So what was your rock bottom? What was the final straw that got you to AA?
In October 2012 it was, I'd had a couple of weeks off from the drink. Somehow I'd managed to white knuckle it without drinking.
Okay.
And we went away, my family and I, my 2 children and my husband went away to Blackpool. And I walked into the hotel having, professed to my husband and myself that we were going to have a wonderful breakaway because I wasn't going to drink. And I walked into the reception, saw the optics behind the bar, and without a second thought, sent the husband and the kids upstairs and ordered myself a very large drink, vodka and Coke, necked it, and that was it. That was me. That was me for the whole weekend. I was drinking secretly. I was only thinking about myself, sneaking off to Marks and Spencer and getting small bottles of champagne and drinking them in public toilets. And basically, I ruined the break. And when we came back on the way back, I was drinking, and we got home and I was drinking, and anyway I ended up needing to go to hospital after that drinking session, and seeing my dad come in there and see me on a drip, it scared me, and I didn't want to do it again. This is not the end of this is not the main reason why. No. It's part of it, and through that fear I swore off drinking. I said to myself, I'm never drinking again. I didn't go to AA. I said, I'm never drinking again. And I managed to do till December the 21st. And I was at work. And I came out of work, saw the Christmas lights, and without a second thought, again, picked up a drink again. All of those things that I'd promised, the time in hospital, my dad's face of disappointment, that completely went. And that Christmas, 2012, it was ruined. Absolutely ruined for my family and for me, and I felt so tired and so full of shame. And my birthday's the end of December, and I wanted to get it over with. I wanted to get my birthday over with. I had come to my rock bottom. That last time, that Christmas, it wasn't any different to any other Christmases. I'd drink too much. It was all about me. I wouldn't care about the kids opening the presents. I fell asleep at the Christmas dining table. That day before my birthday, I wanted to get that night out the way, because I had an inner knowing that was going to be my last time. I was ready to surrender. And I woke up and I felt really calm. I didn't declare I was never going to drink again, but I just knew that there was an answer for me, because after every bender, most of the time, I'd Google AA. And I knew the solution lay there, because I had been to one meeting 4 years prior, and I'd looked around the room and I had looked at all the differences. And I thought, I'm not as bad as you. I don't need this. But that little seed had been planted.
Sure.
And woke up on my birthday and felt calm and thought, it's the drink. I had a realisation. This is why I feel so rubbish. This is why I feel so full of shame. And this is why I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. It is the drink. And that was my rock bottom. That was it. That place. I had to come to that place of surrender where I was willing to do absolutely anything to stay sober.
You use the word surrender. I mean, that's one that we hear a lot in the rooms, that, we just got to stop fighting it. And surrender's always, we're British and we don't surrender to anything, but with alcohol, that's the only way, isn't it? You've got to give up. You've got to hold your hands up and say, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I tried many things, and it was exhausting and
Yeah.
bewildering.
Yeah. So you got to your second AA meeting. So you've been a few years before that,
Yeah.
and that sowed the seed, which it generally does. How did you find it when you got into your meetings proper? How did you feel that first meeting?
That first meeting, I felt a real sense of relief. My shoulders relaxed. I felt that there was hope for me, where in the past I felt there was no hope. I got that sense of hope. I looked around the room and saw women and men that were happy. And I thought, I ain't been happy for years. I've tried everything. And I just want what these people have got, and I was willing and ready to listen.
Yeah.
I felt relief. That for me was the big sense of relief. And also that little bit of the shame, a little bit went. I felt like a morally bad person before that first meeting. And I walked into my first meeting. I was welcomed. I was told, to listen for the similarities, not the differences. I was made a cup of coffee, and people didn't know me, and they were saying, hello, welcome, you're very welcome. And I hadn't felt welcome anywhere. I was a burden on people. It was always, oh, Leanne's here again, what's she going to do? Or, and I felt welcomed.
Yeah.
And I came out of that meeting and I felt that there was hope.
There's hope.
There is a solution.
Yeah.
I've just got to keep coming back and listen to what people have told me, which was keep coming back.
Keep coming back.
Ring one of the numbers on the paper, one of the women, and I did that, and I haven't looked back.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And can you tell us how long it is since your last drink?
It has been 9 years since my last drink.
Wow, well done.
Miracle.
Well done. It is a miracle,
It's
isn't
a
it?
miracle. Absolute miracle. Yeah, the longest I stopped was pregnancy, and I was counting down the days actually till I could drink again.
Yeah.
So I don't do that anymore.
We don't have to do that anymore, do we?
don't,
We don't have to do that anymore.
Day at a time.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, that from the madness that you were in all that time ago, how does it feel to have that length of sobriety under your belt?
I'm grateful for the length of sobriety I have got, but I'm also very aware and very conscious that it is a daily programme.
Yeah.
The length of time I've been sober doesn't mean that I'm more sober than anybody else in the room.
No.
That's contingent on whether I'm helping others, whether I'm going to meetings, and whether I'm keeping myself spiritually well. I have to do that, and that can change from day to day. But I try to keep things on a balance, on an even keel. I strive for balance in my sobriety. And
there's one of the guys in my local meeting always says, the most sober person here is the person who got up earliest this morning. And we have everything in that meeting from, 24 hours sobriety to 51 years. And the guy who's got 51 years in is still doing 3 meetings a week, and that's why he's got 51 years sobriety, and everything in between there. It's just miraculous, and it is a daily program. It is just one day at a time, isn't it? And we say this in all the programs. I know Billy's asked questions about this. That it's effectively we can't drink for the rest of our lives safely, but we just break it down just one day at a time. And I always say to newcomers when they come in, if you can, when you get home tonight and get to bed without a drink, and when you get up tomorrow morning, just say to yourself, right, just for today, I'm not going to have a drink. Never mind it's Christmas next week or your birthday or anniversary. That's just another day. Just for today, I'm not going to have a drink. And, if they can get into that routine, it works, and then it becomes the norm, doesn't it? And that obsession to drink just goes away. It leaves us after a period of time, which is truly miraculous.
It's an incredible way, I think. I mean, listening to all of them, it's an incredible way to live your life. And it's almost like when we get the creative people in, they say once they get in the zone, it doesn't matter what's gone yesterday and it doesn't matter what's coming. It's just the zone that's important. And that's, in a way, that's your philosophy in it.
Yeah,
in a way. It's incredible, really.
Yeah.
It's really freeing, actually, to just keep it in the 24 hours. I was never able to do that. I was always thinking a week, a month
Yeah.
in advance.
Sure, yeah.
And usually that was about drinking, living my life around the next big night out. And it's not like that today. It's just, and it's manageable, isn't it? 24 hours.
It is, and I think what it teaches us as well, once you get on the programme, you get this toolbox that we say. It teaches us to cope with whatever life throws at us, whatever that might be. And life is difficult sometimes. We've got all sorts of issues that we have to cope with, but we can do without picking up a drink. That's the key, and it's miraculous for me.
Yeah.
So, 9 years and a bit. How has your life changed since you got sober? Since that last drink?
Wow. I think on the outside looking in, I've still got my job. I'm lucky enough that I've still got the same job that I had, and my career. Still got my family, so that's wonderful. But I think the main thing is, I've changed. I can live life on life's terms, which I could never do before. And I try to live in the solution now instead of living in the problem, which is what I always used to do, just dwell and woe is me and self-pity. And, I've had many ups and downs in sobriety. Yeah. And, I'm very grateful that I haven't thought about a drink. I haven't picked a drink up, and that in itself is truly miraculous. It's only because of, the 12-step programme that I work and the fellowship of AA and the support that I get in there that I haven't had to drink. My life's changed because just the simple things now are so meaningful to me. I just love how simple life can be. Not always, but I love the simple things, taking my dog for a walk, spending time with friends and family. And I've got such a lovely group of friends in AA. Most of my friends now are in AA. I do have other friends, but I love to be part of the fellowship, which is, we go for curries, some of my girlfriends and I, we go dancing, we go to, for meals, and it's just wonderful. It's lovely.
No, that fellowship is staggering, really.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody's in the same boat, and there is a solution, and that's to work that programme and to develop that friendship and that fellowship.
Yeah.
It's absolutely miraculous. So imagine in those years you've seen a few changes in AA or not?
I think AA remains pretty consistent, really, with the the format of the meetings. We have a main share usually, which is a longer share where someone shares their experience, strength, and hope, and then we'll have a reading as well from our big book, Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
So that's pretty consistent, and that's what I like, And I think lockdown was quite a change. How the fellowship dealt with lockdown. So Zoom meetings quickly started, and a lot of new people came in during the Zoom meetings. So we call them Zoom babies.
Zoom babies, yeah.
So the way that AA adapted and responded to the pandemic was amazing, and it just shows the strength of the fellowship.
And that happened very quickly, didn't it? I mean, I think
yeah.
After they closed the meetings down, we had Zoom meetings organised within a week, and then it wasn't Zoom. What was it? Skype was the original. Skype was the original. Then within another couple of weeks, Zoom came from nowhere. I'd never heard of Zoom. Yeah. And there were meetings every hour of every day somewhere in the world that we could get on without having to go out and mix with people.
Yeah, it was a real support. As you say, I did meetings in 24-hour women's meetings. Based in America.
Sure. Yeah.
It was great. It was, to have that support and fellowship. But I do love the live meetings.
Yeah. No, there's absolutely nothing like that.
No.
And we're blessed really that when they eased the restrictions a bit, we were allowed to meet, albeit in restrictive numbers. And I can remember having to disinfect all the chairs and the tables before the meeting and in between meetings and after the meeting, and but hey, we got through it, because we needed it, didn't we? We need it, and we complied with whatever our venues were asking us to do, and we got back into it proper now. So that's It's been an absolute miracle, absolutely. And I actually think that whilst it was a difficult time, I think AA's got stronger in the pandemic. I think people, and sometimes people, particularly if they're new in, they're not having to make an effort. They're not having to get up and drive somewhere to a meeting. They could just sit there. They don't even have to have the camera on. They can just sit there and listen and absorb what's coming their way. Yeah. So I think it's really helped from that side. I think we're about ready for your next next record.
Can do. Landslide. So obviously influence. It's obviously the Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac Landslide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was driving back from a hypnotherapy session to cure my drinking, and this played on the radio, and it kind of hit me. And I love this. I love this song. It reminds me of that time.
I think it was originally on Buckingham and Nicks, wasn't it? Didn't they? I'm sure they recorded it before they joined Fleetwood Mac, and then they re-recorded it. And they're only like babs then, and they're only kids.
Yeah, I've seen them a few times.
Fantastic song. Let's listen to this Landslide.
Took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Ah, take my love, take it down. Ah, climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, where the landslide bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, a landslide will bring it down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down.
It's all about you.
Thanks for that, Billy. Lovely track, that. Lovely track, Leanne. So before the record, you were telling us how we coped in lockdown, and you got onto Zoom and all the rest of it, and then got back into the meetings. We talk about the program of recovery. So it's not just about going to meetings and sitting there and listening. Is it? Tell us a bit about the program as you've worked it over the years.
Yeah, so the 12-step program, it helps me to, I needed to look at myself, really. The problem, the alcoholism lies with me. It's a symptom of something, much deeper. And just stopping drinking, is an amazing thing for me. But I needed to look at the reasons why and sort of be able to deal with life on life's terms and clear that wreckage from my past. And the steps help me to do that. I have a sponsor and I sponsor other women. And with my sponsor, we work...
Sorry, just explain what a sponsor is for those that are not... Yeah.
Yeah, so a sponsor is somebody who will take you through the 12 steps. And also you can phone this person, if ever you need to chat about drinking or you feel like a drink. In the early days for me, my sponsor got me through the difficult times. Just speaking to her and saying this is what's going on. I didn't know how to live really life on life's terms. Even not being able to pause before sending an email, for example, something like that. I'd phone her and she would talk me through it. But also the more serious things like drinking. I didn't want to drink. I'm quite great. I'm really lucky, there. But other things, I call my sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a mentor.
A mentor,
a
mentor. But initially, it helped me work the steps, and still have a sponsor today. Very close to her, and she's been there.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's lovely. And you're sponsoring people yourself, so you're passing on your message to other people.
Yeah, which is also part of the steps.
Sure.
The 12th step is to give back and to sponsor others and help others. Yeah. So that's my service. Keeps me sober.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when I'm taking somebody through the steps myself, I'm revisiting them.
Yes, I think that's quite a benefit that you get when you do sponsor people. That it takes you back. Takes you back and makes you refocus on those steps that maybe you've done a lot of years ago.
Yeah,
it just really emphasises that, doesn't it? Sorry, I meant to go when we came back in to ask Dec to give us some idea of the contact details for those that are listening that want to get in touch with AA.
Thanks, Dave. I was going to pop in anyway near the end, but
sorry,
you're all right.
It's Podge. He's going to podge in.
Podge, okay, Podge, for those of us not from here. There's a few ways to get in touch with us if you are struggling. There's the free phone number, which is 0800 9177 650. That's 0800 9177 650. You can also go on the national website, so if you just do a search on a browser, Alcoholics Anonymous UK, it will give you a list and will no doubt be the top one. In there it takes you to a lovely little homepage where it also gives you that number again. You can contact us with email at help@aamail.org. There's a find a meeting area as well, which is really, really good. So if you do think you'd like to come along to a meeting, all you have to do is type in your town or your postcode, and it will give you all the meetings near you any time of the day or week. And finally, there is one more way to get in touch with us. It's live chat. You can, if you don't really want to talk, if you're feeling a wee bit down and you just want to type it out, you'll get somebody live at the end of a chat box who will happily reply to your questions.
Thanks, Dec. I think there's also there on that website, there's a lot of stuff there. There's a specific area for newcomers that there's a little quiz on there that you can sort of tick the boxes. There's questions about your drinking and, just help you to maybe decide whether or not you are an alcoholic. So So thanks for that, Dec. Appreciate that. So, Leanne, you're living proof that there is another satisfying and enjoyable life after drinking. What would you say to people who are out there listening, maybe wondering whether, maybe they're drinking a bit too much and their behaviour? What advice would you give them?
I'd suggest that they go to the website. We've got some questions on there that they can answer, about their drinking. We would never proclaim anyone to be an alcoholic.
No.
It's self-diagnosed, so they can answer. They can go on the website, which has just been read out, the website address. So you can go on there and check, answer some questions honestly, and from there you could see. For me, I couldn't stay stopped. So I think if you're trying to control your drinking and you can't, if you find you drink more than what you say you're going to drink or want to drink, I'd suggest, looking on the website. There are many meetings that you can find on there. Call the number, speak to somebody. It's completely anonymous.
Sure.
So, and don't delay, really.
Yeah,
Don't delay. Don't let it get any worse.
And get to meetings.
And see how it. Try a meeting and just listen. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. You don't have to say your name if you don't want to, and you can just sit there. You'll be very, very welcomed, and listen to the similarities and see how you feel.
I think, as we said before, that you just said that there's no pressure.
There's no
when
pressure.
the meetings. We don't diagnose people as alcoholics. We don't judge them. We don't tell them they are. It's up for the individual to decide themselves, usually based on what they've heard in those meetings, those similarities to the way that they behave. So, and I think once they get that realisation, then they're in with a chance, aren't they? Of recovery. So, okay, so you're 9 and a bit years sober now. You're not cured. You're not cured. You're still doing meetings.
No, I'll never be cured. This is a lifelong illness I have, and I do believe it is an illness that I've got. I've got a physical allergy and a mental obsession. So if I pick up a drink, no matter how long I've had away from a drink, I know from people's experiences in the rooms that people that have been in AA and unfortunately relapsed, when they've come back, they've told me that they've picked up right from where they've left off. I've got a progressive illness that's doing push-ups, waiting for me to have a weak moment, and that's why I continue to come to meetings, because I don't want to forget how bad it was. I don't want to get to that point where I forget how bad I was and I think a drink will be a good idea. And also I want to help others, because it's so lovely to see people get well. It really is, to see them come in often broken, often having no hope, and then a few weeks later to be looking better and to be feeling better and to have a smile on their face, and it's just wonderful and beautiful.
It's miraculous.
It's miraculous.
It really is. And I think you mentioned there, alcoholism is not a moral issue.
No.
We are sick people. It is an illness. It's a recognised illness, recognised by the World Health Authority, and it's a physical allergy and a mental obsession. And we're not immoral people who have taken. It's not a lifestyle choice. If you are, you are, and we're sick people trying to get well, and that's the key.
And that was an eye opener for me, really, because when I came into AA and before that, I thought I was a morally bad person.
Yeah. Well, I think most people do. I think,
and now I understand.
Yeah. And you mentioned people. I was at a meeting last night, and somebody shared that they'd relapsed, as we say. He'd picked up over Christmas, and I said, how was it? He said, it was dreadful. The first night I just had a couple of pints, and that was all right. And then the next night I had 4, and then I had 6, and then I had 8, and then, it was like total, absolute chaos again. And, I'm delighted to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm delighted to hear it, because, and you said, when people pick up, they go back, they're straight back to where they were before. And this is what happened in this guy's case. And, all the years I've been around, I've never heard anybody that's picked up again or relapsed come back and said, hey, it's all right, Dave. You can have a couple of beers with the lads on a Friday night. It's okay. Never, ever heard that. Every single person says, it gets worse, and it gets worse quicker than what they'd ever imagined. So it's that's another reason to stay away from that first drink, and it is that first drink, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just that causes the problem. That causes the problem. So okay, I think we're.
Well, you've got about 3 minutes. Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, of course, Billy.
There's a lot of talk. I mean, when I went to the meetings, we was talking off air about you got your posters up and it's got God and stuff like that. But everybody that comes, or everybody that's an alcoholic, can't be religious. So is it a spiritual thing, or is it a religious thing, or is it a faith thing? There's got to be something that you grasp onto,
Yeah.
and obviously you can name it as God.
Yeah.
But it's not God for everybody, is it?
No, it's not. It's not a religious program. Need to make that very clear. It's not a religious program at all. It's about finding your own concept of a power greater than yourself. I tried on my own back to stop drinking, and I couldn't do it. So I had to be willing to believe that something else could keep me sober. And I have my own concept of a God today, and it's not a religious God. It's a spiritual, nature and things like that. All I know is it's not me, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah. Because in some respects that might put people off.
Yeah,
they might
yeah.
think, I can't be doing with this God thing because I'm an atheist or whatever.
Yeah, we have atheists.
But they have to
in the
find an
fellowship.
inner strength or something in a way, don't they?
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way, their own
They
inner
do.
strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have many different walks of life in the fellowship. Some believe in a religious God, some are atheist, as you say, and it's just your own concept, finding your own concept, and you don't have to declare what that is, just something for you.
Yeah.
And is it sharing that strength as part of a sponsor that you give to a person who's just come in or contacts you?
Yeah, so part of the steps, step 2 in particular, is about being willing to turn your life over, to become willing to a power greater than yourself. So together we would, try and find a power greater. Well, the alcoholic finds that, but it is strength. There's strength in the rooms. There's strength in the fellowship, and that is a power greater than me. And when I first came into AA, that was enough for me. That kept me sober. The power in the rooms was my higher power. Group of drunks. Yeah, that was.
And a lived experiences. I mean, you can get to all the doctors you want, but lived experiences, to me, is more authentic than than saying, well, turn to page 26 and here's your answer. But if you say to something, I was in the same place as you were.
Yeah, that's it. I went to doctors and I lied to them about how much I drank because I thought, well, you're not like me, so what do you know? But when I spoke to another alcoholic and I could see them telling me about what they'd done and what they'd been through, I was able to trust them. And that's when I finally got honest. And you need to be rigorously honest, to get sober and stay sober, brutally honest.
Signed, sealed, delivered, your last track, so...
Yeah, I love this song. Yeah, I really love this song, and to me sobriety is all about joy and loving life, and this song I love to dance to, and it to me it symbolises freedom and happiness, and that's what sobriety's given me.
Just before you play that, Billy, can I just say a big thanks, Leanne, for coming along today. It's been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks from Extra and Black Country Radio. It's an absolute education and pleasure really to always have folks in. So here we are then. It's Signed, Seen, Delivered. I'm yours, the great Stevie Wonder.
Like a fool I went